Hi, my name is Inon Zur, and I'm a composer. The experience working on Dragon Age 2 for me was very special, very different than Dragon Age 1. In Dragon Age 1, I just got the feel of the game, and it was very dark but very epic and huge in size, and you had to cover a lot of stories in the same time. So I had to go many routes in order to find each one of the origins, exactly what they are, and the music was still searching a little bit. Stylistic wise, it was very orchestral and very dark. Unlike Dragon Age 1, in Dragon Age 2, we sort of changed a little bit. Since what's going on in Dragon Age 2, you take all this huge, massive amount of emotion that were hugging the huge world of Dragon Age and bring it down to one person. And this is you. You are the player. And you're not a hero by any means. And you're being forced and being banished from your city, being thrown to a very scary desert, and try to survive there and looking for new life, you and your family. So the story is very personal. It has to do with relationships between brother and sister and mother who's wandering in the desert. That's why they call it Exodus. And the music had to cover that. So first of all, I brought everything down in size. And although we still have the big fights, but I took, for example, one of the signatures of Dragon Age 2 is the string quartet. And I used the string quartet, and I actually contracted the Lyris string quartet, who is very known right now in all Southern California, and they're actually getting bigger and bigger. And they played all the solo. So the string quartet is actually conversing with the orchestra, so you could see the relationships between this little family and with all the world around them. This is what's happening actually in the score, this conversation between the string quartet and the orchestra. So this is one big difference. The other one is this family is wandering, and they're getting to a foreign city, and they're nothing, and they need to start to make their way over there, and to make a living and to grow. So we had to portray this foreign place. So we have chosen to go a little bit toward Middle Eastern sound, which is very, very, very different than the usual Dragon Age music. So this is also a different pan in Dragon Age 2. I think and I believe that in many, many cases, collaboration to a certain degree in score is great. And this game, I must say that I was very fortunate to collaborate with three very distinguished artists. The first is I brought back Aubrey Ashburn to sing on the main title and 2 or 3 more songs. The second one, I introduced a great musician and songwriter from Israel. His name is Idan Reichel. And right now he's becoming very known all over the world. He actually performed at the Nobel Peace ceremony. And so he's very known, and he contributed music to Dragon Age as well, bringing his Middle Eastern style to the city. And last but definitely not least, I've collaborated on a song with Florence Welsh from Florence and the Machine. And I took a song that's called Ghost, and it's she already put this song out, but we took this song and totally rearranged it so it's really nicely sit with all the Dragon Age score. And this is going to be featured in the game, so I'm very, very happy about that. I think that what is the most memorable of all working on Dragon Age is trying to capture what's going on in the character's mind versus what's going on in the player's mind. Because when you're doing like, for example, a first-person shooter, okay, so the player is the hero. I mean, so there is no contradictions there, and you just run with it. But in Dragon Age, it is so complicated, the story. You need to make decisions all the time as the player, and the player has its own opinions from time to time, and you as a player need to decide which side to take. For example, in this Dragon Age, you could be sided with one faction or sided with another faction, and you could decide to fall in love with somebody or no. And so you try to think, and this is always, it's so typical to Dragon Age, you try to think how not to lure the player to make a decision in one, but from the other end, really try to push him toward a direction that I believed is better. So the music is like stepping on eggs, if we could say it in this way. So this kind of challenges how to work with the emotions without forcing it too much. This is, to me, the most memorable thing about working on Dragon Age. I think what I was most learning from Dragon Age 1 and took with me to Dragon Age 2 was the fact that the palette of the sound, which was very accepted well, on Dragon Age Origin, I actually really took it with it, and I'm talking more about the orchestral palette. The low brass playing along with ancient drums and low strings instruments really gives it this sort of like something between heroic to demonic, just in the middle between heroic and demonic feel. And I think that this I brought back in full on in Dragon Age 2 as well, because it was good for the game. Well, I would definitely say that I'm not as good to call myself a gamer. If I play games, yes. If I'm a gamer, I don't think so. Everybody could beat me. I'm not good enough. But I would play the games that I'm working on, definitely. And if you put me aside, I'll always be a shooter. Because that's my nature. I'm a shooter. I'm a straight shooter. But when I'm doing RPGs, I will play it. When I'm doing MMOs, I'll play it. I'll play anything because I have to feel, more than everything, the tempo, the rhythm of the whole play in order to know what music to sort of like tailor to it. Oh man, it goes all over the specs. But actually, I got attached to games that I did previously, and two of them I'm sometimes even still playing, although they're very old. Shadow Ops and Man of Valor. These are two games that I started to play because I composed the music, but then after it I fell in love so much about them that I just keep on playing all the time. But also some of the new shooters as well. In video games, I think that you get definitely more creative freedom because you're not locked to a picture. So you could just create a piece of music that will frame what's going on without trying to be locked to a certain point or move of somebody or any event. It gives you a musical freedom to just write a musical structure that will make sense, unlike TV or movies. But overall, in TV, movies, and games, the music has one role, and it is to support the emotional elements and to enhance the drama. In games, it does it in a different way because we don't have any way to predict what the gamer will do, so we sort of have to frame the gamer's feeling or to create a feeling for him and to motivate him or to scare him or to make him excited and to make him do something, but we cannot really know what he's doing. The process for me to compose a scene or or an area in a game or a zone or a battle or anything, the way I start is to know from the story point of view what exactly happening here. And what exactly happening here is not where they are or what they're doing, but more is what they're feeling. And should they feel scared? Should they feel victorious? Is it a tragic, event? So once I get the feeling, this is where I'm starting. This is my starting point. After that, give me please the location where they are. Please let me know how many enemies there will be. What is the pace? Is that like a slow pace? And everything is happening even before I wrote one note. After I sort of like take all this information, then I could start launching into writing. And even then, I'm trying to find out what kind of colors you want it. Because if like we're talking about something that happened way before, thousands of years ago, we want to give it some sort of like an ancient feel, then I will use different instrumentations. If it's something futuristic, obviously. So you have to do so much planning, and you have to get so much information before you even compose one note. But after the one note, it's no problem. Approaching a theme versus a battle, for me, it's not going on the same category, basically, because I first usually will create the theme for the character, and then I could integrate it into a battle. I can integrate it into more ambient music. I could integrate it into a cinematic. So the most important thing is first to capture the feel of this character. Who is he? What kind of if he's like a little crazy, then I'll maybe use like a melody that will jump like with big span between the notes, or have a very weird rhythm. If he's somebody that is very noble, I'll probably use some kind of like more triadic movements between the notes. But after coming up with the theme of this character, I could do whatever I want with this. Well, let's just take, for example, the main theme for Dragon Age 2. It starts very similarly like Dragon Age Origins, also with a voice, also quiet. But unlike Dragon Age Origins, that the song was sort of like proud and beautiful, here the song is moaning. It's about exile, it's about tragedy. So the voice is almost weeping. And then the orchestra is building exactly the same way like in Dragon Age Origin. However, right after the big brassy build-up that we remember from the main theme from Origins, we expect the orchestra to burst in with the main theme. But no, actually at this point, the string quartet is coming. And it's such a, it's a big, surprise, because you really feel like, oh, now the orchestra is coming. But no, a very mellow and lonely string quartet is playing at this point, and it's presenting the main theme. And only after that, it's building into the orchestral music. So this is, for example, how I built the main theme. I don't think overall that I prefer certain style. I like to compose the style that supports my project. I don't do techno, and I'm really not good in rock and roll. But the rest of them I definitely could cope with. So it's just a matter of what you're looking. Music is a language. Personally, I really like to write for cello and French horn. And the reason why, I think, except for, first I really like the timbre and the sound of them. They could be so emotional, both of them. But also the range is symbolizing the range of the human voice. For example, a cello, the lower voice in the cello is the lower bass voice of the human singer, a male singer. And the highest notes in cello is definitely the highest note in soprano, female singer. So it's like somebody's singing. In Dragon Age Origins, we worked very hard to establish a style for the game, which became the Dragon Age language. So coming to Dragon Age 2, I was giving way more freedom because this is my style. So they've expected me basically to come up with my own ideas to support the previous games. So in Dragon Age 2, definitely I got more freedom. But overall in projects, I feel today more and more that I'm getting a lot of creative freedom, which is great. It's not where video game music heading in the future, it's where games are heading. And the way they are heading will be basically to the same place everything else will head. We are people, and it's always about stories. Technology will get better. Probably we'll get more possibilities to implement the music in a better way. We'll get more memory to play more music. We'll have more abilities to change music in real time. All these things will get better. But one thing will have to always stay as good as it could get, and this is a story. As long as the story good, and as long as the writing is good, the music could follow it. And this is where I'm always looking forward. I think that video games are gaining more and more and fast recognition as mainstream genre. You could see that more and more concerts are being played with video game music. In fact, Play Concert, which is a major franchise, will feature Dragon Age Origins music in the end of the month, and then in June, Dragon Age 2 as well. But more than this, you could see more and more famous people and famous composers going to compose for video games because they understand that this area is really entering a new era and new times, and they want to contribute, they want to be part of it. So there's very bright future, and I think that very soon we will hear more and more about video game music. At the present time, I am working on a few projects that I cannot really say anything about them. However, I can mention that I am working on Rift, Plains of Telara, who just recently launched, and I'm keeping on contributing music to it. Other than this, yes, I am working on some very high profile projects, but I cannot mention them at the time.